Today we're going to be looking at the Lux Oro Expert Advisor by Mr. Syed. This video is sponsored by our free Golden Time Bomb Expert Advisor. Take your trading to the next level through automating the London breakout and the opening range breakout. Click the link in the description to download the EA completely for free. So here we can see that he's appearing to present this as a gold scalping bot, but also one that's meant to be more legitimate. So he's saying there's no AI, there's no crazy claims behind it, and this is just a good, consistent, simple, straightforward gold trading expert advisor. And specifically it runs on the H1 time frame and obviously trading gold, and that it's primarily being used on a technical analysis style strategy. So there's like a real TA basis behind it. And one thing to note is that there's no signal here that I'm missing, at least if I'm not missing it so far. So that's a bit concerning because usually, particularly with scalpers, you need to see a signal because you can backtest it in such a way where it looks fantastic. But once you take into account real trading conditions, so spreads, slippage, commissions, it can fall flat if it's not properly designed and if the edge is not significant enough. So here he also has a few different set files, and he's saying that the initial price is $2.99, but it's going to go all the way up to $1,000. So nothing crazy so far, but it does appear to be making its way up to the top of the MQL5 marketplace pretty quickly. So I'm excited to dive in to see what's going on. We have the developer here. We can see that both of his bots are pretty new, and he seems to be a fairly new developer on the MQL5 marketplace, and he's based in Italy of all places. So we'll be curious to see like how the actual community's feedback is to this bot and to his bots going forward. So the thing is, like, we don't have a ton of information. He says like it's technical analysis based. If we look at some of his back tests here, we can see that it's a very high win rate bot. So then, but it's also showing a positive risk reward, which is not a great sign because that would maybe imply that something a bit fishy is going on. But once again, like maybe in the back test in the live performance, the actual strategy being used is a bit different. It could very well be that he is running more of a legitimate system live, but in the back test he's done a bit of over optimization to make it too good to be true or a bit too rosy, all of which is possible. But from what I can see here in the comments, at least, people are saying that the back test seemed to match the live performance, which is definitely a good sign because if you can't trust the back test, you really have no idea what to expect. So we're not really seeing much on the sales page, so let's go into MD5 to see if we can get some more details. And here I ran a 1 year back test, and this was a 1 minute open high low close. So let me now quickly run it on every tick based on real ticks, because with scalpers, 1 minute open high low close is not super indicative. It was more just to get an idea of what the equity curve would perhaps look like under like unrealistically good conditions. But we can see that all of this is consistent so far with the page as expected. And if we go to the inputs tab, maybe we can get a bit more information there too. So we can see that it allows only one trade simultaneously. It has a spread filter. It's both a buy and sell. There's some interesting things here in terms of time filters, in terms of like the actual risk reward. So he's being quite open about where the stop loss is going to be triggered, where the take profit is. And this is helpful because it will give you an idea in regards to what risk reward to expect and what your win rate should therefore be. There's also a big emphasis on trailing stop losses, which is kind of what I would expect with this type of system. Usually with a gold system, because of the volatility and because how strong impulses can fundamentally be, it can be really good to use this kind of trailing stop logic because it does usually improve your risk reward. There's also some interesting ATR-based variables which help influence the trailing stop. But so far, it looks like he's put good thought into the inputs. None of this looks fishy. But the equity curve, which is developing, looks a little bit too good to be true. So now we're running it with every tick based on real ticks. He is taking a few losses, but the amount of winners we're seeing is a little bit unrealistic in my opinion. So let's wait to see what the actual backtest statistics are going to be like. Because there could be a real strategy here. There could be like a real logic behind it, but seeing this few losers is usually not a great sign. So I'm going to quickly pause this video, let this backtest complete, and then I'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, we're now back. So clearly this looks too good to be true, right? If we're seeing this beautiful straight line up, something is wrong. So perhaps some people are saying it is matching the backtest perfectly, but Just from basic probabilities, I don't think that will happen for too long. And the same thing happened with Beatrix Investor, where people were like exuberant for a bit, and it was like, oh my God, this is the best bot ever. It's doing so incredibly well. But then eventually it just stopped working, and you have to be mindful of that. So if we look here in the backtest, we can see an 89% win rate with roughly a 1-to-1 risk reward. That is simply impossible. We're also seeing that it's going both long and short, with around 89 short trades and 81 long trades, so it's fairly balanced. So he's not just using the enormous stop loss. So there's got to be something fishy going on here. It looks likely a bit over optimized, so we are taking the occasional losers here. He's also going short quite often with gold, so like taking more mean reversion trades with an incredibly strongly trending asset is not a great sign, because like he's taking quite a few shorts. Like he does appear to be using perhaps a trend filter where he's only taking longs above an EMA or something, but still not great. So I wouldn't, maybe there is a real strategy here, but the backtest is so heavily manipulated, it's really just hard for us to ascertain what's going on. So now I'm going to run a visual backtest to see if we can get anything else from it. But once again, he's just entering a position. He has a take profit and a stop loss. Most likely he's using some sort of trailing stop loss. It might be actually optional to add it. He appears to be using market entries too. So there's really nothing too special going on here. Probably it's a fairly basic price action based strategy, perhaps based on like a pullback above a certain level with a degree of a trend filter, which is hard coded. But ultimately, it's impossible to get this kind of performance. You can't have a 90% win rate with a 1-to-1. Like he added a few losses in there to make it seem a bit more legitimate. But if you see a 1-to-1 risk reward, you should expect to see a slight edge over randomness. Maybe a 60% win rate or a 70% win rate if it's a tremendous, tremendous system. But over 300 trades, seeing a 90% win rate, that would be a 40% edge over randomness. That is insane. And I think it's just way too good to be true. So there's clearly something fishy, at least with the backtest. Maybe there is a real strategy underlying it, which only comes out if you run it live. But the fact that there's no signal and that is just not a good sign. So I would be very reticent about using this myself. I'd probably stay quite far away just because, yeah, it's not looking good. It's fishy and it's probably not going to get you the results you're looking for. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one, and let me know if you end up buying this one, what your results are like.